I'm Olivier Blin from the French Geological Survey, and I will present you today our paper, Geochemical Signature of IOCG and Affiliated Critical Metal Deposit, Mineral Exploration Tool. To characterize the metasomatic footprint in IOCG environment, we will use major elements from Worlock's chemical analysis to characterize different hydrothermal alteration. Here, a model proposed by Corrivo et al. To explain the different alteration phases observed in metasomatic iron and alkali calcic system. Each alteration phase has a distinctive and diagnostic geochemical signature and a distinctive mineral deposit type associated to it. For example, associated with high temperature calcic iron alteration, or there is a iron oxide hepatite deposit with high temperature potassic iron alteration magnetite group IOCG with low temperature potassic iron alteration hematite group IOCG. In such a system, each alteration has a distinctive and diagnostic geochemical signature. Geochemical data refine the major element mobility interpreted microscopically through field and geological observation of the mineral assemblage and the mineral content of alteration. With this variation in geochemical data have been used by Montreal to create a discriminant diagram to represent the different hydrothermal phases observed in such system. For this, they used the molar concentration of major elements, and they create two indexed. The first indexed AIOCG1 discriminate sodium from potassium and calcium iron alteration from potassium iron alteration. The second indexed AIOCG2 discriminate alkali alteration from iron-rich alteration. In this diagram, we don't plot point to represent geochemical data, but we will plot a cationic barcode. Why cationic barcode? Because sodium, calcium, iron, potassium, magnesium cationic proportion and high content of sodium, calcium, iron, potassium, or magnesium mineral discriminate metasomatic rocks from least alterated rocks. Cation are proxy for the distinctive mineral of the alteration phases. Sodium in light pink for halbite, calcium in green for amphiboles, iron in black for iron oxide, potassium in red for potassic feldspar, and magnesium in light green for chloride. Color barcodes are derived from Worlock's geochemical analysis. Typically, one or two elements dominate in barcode from alteration phases in metasomatic rocks. In contrast, cationic barcode in common volcanic and intrusive rocks here or in sedimentary rocks are characterized by 3 to 5 dominant cation. The addition of a cationic barcode to the diagram of Montreuil further discriminates the main alteration phases and provides a mean to identify increasing intensity of alteration. Our first example is the Great Bear Magmatic Zone in Canada, which is characterized by high temperature hydrothermal alteration. In the diagram here, we put all the data from the Great Bear Magmatic Zone. Here in A, most medium to high potassic alkaline igneous rocks fall in the field of least alterated rocks. In B here, Woolworth's analysis of metasomatic rocks with single dominant and intense alteration facies highlight the footprint of the prograde metasomatic reaction path in blue. This path go from sodium to calcic iron to FH calcic potassic iron to high temperature potassic iron to potassic, and then to low temperature potassic iron. Through system description, albitite, which are here, can be telescoped into the field of potassic iron or FR-rich potassic iron alteration and become metasomatose and mineralized. Here in white, we have the trend of this telescope. Then, in a second example, we will test the barcode with the data from the Olympic Dam deposit. Olympic Dam is the archetype of hematite group IOCG deposit. This deposit is hosted in a tectonic magmatic hydrothermal breccia within the Roxby Downs granite. Iron increase from edge to center of the Olympic Dam breccia complex. Intense potassic plus magnetite to hematite dominant alteration result in well-defined geochemical evolution trends on the IOCG diagram. For example, in the most distal borehole, host rocks are least alterated granite, and barcode are characterized by sodium in pink and potassium in red, and plot in the field of least alterated rocks. In borehole located between 2 to 3 kilometers from the Olympic Dam breccia complex, ceritization of granite produce a trend of decreasing sodium in pink and increasing potassium in red and iron in black. In borehole at the contact of the Olympic Dam breccia complex, we still observe the ceritization here associated with hematite alteration, which produce this horizontal step with barcode dominated by potassium in red and iron in black. In the external part of the Olympic Dam breccia complex, boreholes are characterized by rare least alterated rocks. We still observe a light ceritization. This zone is mainly characterized by a trend from potassic iron alteration to FR-rich potassic iron alteration, and a second trend between potassic alteration and FR-rich calcium iron alteration. Barcode with moderate calcic proportion can be explained by the presence of fluorite. In the intermediate zone, there is no relic of granite, no ceritization, we observe a continuous trend between potassic iron alteration and Fe-rich alteration with iron-rich abundant with iron-rich facies, abundant iron-rich facies. And finally, in the core of the system, we do not observe the barcode dominated by potassium. We observe only a trend characterized by barcode dominated by iron. This alteration path deflected by low temperature alteration is distinct from the alteration path dominated by high temperature alteration within the grid-bare magmatic zone. Finally, plotting metal content on the IOCG diagram highlight the behavior of major trace and rare earth element within each alteration. We see the same behavior, for example, between copper and gold, and molybdenum and tin, and here between cobalt and niobium. This figure is a graphic representation of alteration using cationic barcode and a concentration of selected metal and trace elements from borehole of the Olympic Dam Breccia complex. Here we are outside of the Olympic Dam Breccia complex, and on the right we are in the core of the Olympic Dam Breccia complex. The main purpose is to visualize the association between metal enrichment and alteration phases. We clearly observe limit in the behavior of the metal and trace element between different alteration phases. We see a clearly relation between enrichment in metal and the change of alteration phases. In conclusion, we can say that use cationic barcode in the discriminant diagram of Montreuil is a good predictive exploration tool. On your left, the data from the grid-bare magmatic zone, which define a classic prograde metasomatic path from sodium to calcic iron to potassic iron to potassium, and then to low temperature potassic iron. We have here essentially the path defined by high temperature alteration. In this system, we can have overprint of albetite by potassic or potassic iron, or by iron magnesium fluids. The rocks produce telescope the field of least alterated rocks. However, the barcode produced are different from the barcode for the least alterated rocks. On your right, in the Olympic Dam Breccia complex, the path defined by low temperature alteration is different. And in this context, we can observe the trend between least alterated host rocks and potassium fluid or Fe potassic alteration fluid. Barcode permit to define metasomatic paths, to identify the hydrothermal alteration processes, and to observe alteration trends that do not display the complete sequence of alteration phases. Thank you for your attention, and if you want more information to create a barcode, you can send me an email to o.blein@brgm.fr. Thank you.